Days after Secretary of State Rex Tillerson seemingly changed American policy on the Syrian civil war by publicly saying that Syrian dictator Bashar Assad might stay in power, Assad murdered more than 100 Syrian civilians, including babies, using chemical weapons in a nerve gas attack. Trump immediately blamed the attack on President Obama. The Republican House majority voted for the sixth time in 6 weeks to help Trump continue to hide his finances from the American public, again defeating a Democratic resolution that would have required the Treasury Department to provide his tax documents to Congress. After Democratic senators filibustered the Supreme Court nomination of GOP political operative Neil Gorsuch, Republican senators changed the Senate rules in order to no longer allow filibusters of Supreme Court nominations. The next day, 3 Democratic senators joined Republicans in voting to install Gorsuch onto the Supreme Court. There's not been a majority on the Supreme Court nominated by Democratic presidents since 1969, and the impact on American society of that more than half a century-long Republican control of the Supreme Court cannot be overstated. In response to the Syrian government's chemical weapons attack that had killed over 100 civilians, including children, Trump ordered a relatively mild response. 59 Tomahawk missiles were fired at a Syrian military airfield in the middle of the night. While Assad's use of chemical weapons clearly warranted international response, Trump's missile strike was a one-off action with no broader strategy for addressing the Syrian conflict. A passenger was violently assaulted and dragged off a United Airlines flight by airport police after refusing to give up his seat on an overbooked flight. The incident was captured on video and sparked worldwide outrage as viewers watched a paying customer being brutalized for the apparent crime of wanting to use the seat he had purchased. This incident would later prompt congressional hearings where politicians in both parties would performatively yell at airline executives and then fail to actually do anything. Probably not coincidentally, the airline industry spends more than $20 million a year buying members of Congress. A federal district court in Texas ruled that the state's voter ID law was passed by Republicans with the explicit intent to prevent Black and Latino Americans from voting. The ruling came after the Trump Justice Department had switched sides in this case, abandoning the Obama administration's opposition to the discriminatory law and instead supporting Texas Republicans' voter suppression efforts. The Republican-controlled Supreme Court would later overturn this decision in order to make sure Republicans in Texas can continue their voter suppression. A man walked into his wife's elementary school classroom in California and shot and killed her and several children. President Trump and the Republican-controlled Congress did nothing. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos reversed 2 Obama-era policies that had helped protect student loan borrowers from predatory loan servicing companies. Days after the Defense Intelligence Agency informed Jason Chaffetz, the Republican chairman of the House Oversight Committee, that it was investigating whether Trump's disgraced former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn had violated the law by accepting payments from foreign governments, the White House refused to comply with Oversight Committee requests for documents related to Flynn's foreign lobbying activities. Probably not coincidentally, Chaffetz announced on the same day that he was retiring from Congress to become a Fox News talking head. The Anti-Defamation League reported that anti-Semitic attacks in America had risen 86% in the 6 months since Trump's election, including grave desecrations, bomb threats, and physical assaults. American Jews are approximately 2% of the U.S. population, but are the targets of more than 60% of religious-based hate crimes in America. The Republican Senate confirmed Alex Acosta as Labor Secretary. Acosta will eventually resign in disgrace after the public learns that back in 2008, as a U.S. attorney appointed by George W. Bush, he had approved a ridiculously light plea deal for Trump's friend, the serial child rapist Jeffrey Epstein. Acosta gave the child rapist immunity from multiple federal charges, allowing him to plead guilty only to soliciting prostitution from minors, and to serve just 13 months in a county jail with work release privileges, when he should have been facing federal sex trafficking charges that could have resulted in life in prison. As a result of the absurdly light deal that the child rapist got from the Republican, an ongoing FBI probe into Epstein's activities, including an effort to discover more victims and more child rapists, was essentially shut down. In what will become a recurring set of events throughout his presidency, as government funding was set to expire this week without congressional action, Trump insisted that the funding bills under consideration include include billions of dollars to build his border wall that he promised Mexico would pay for. This forced congressional Republicans, who were quickly demonstrating that they are gutless weaklings in the face of the slightest implied criticism from Trump, to insist on funding the wall, despite knowing that congressional Democrats would not vote for that and that, therefore, no bill containing border wall funding could pass the Senate, which meant the government would shut down. Unable to resolve the disagreement, both the House and Senate overwhelmingly passed a bill to extend current government funding levels for one more week in order to avoid a government shutdown while they tried to find a way out of the dilemma caused by the cowardice of congressional Republicans. The Environmental Protection Agency deleted detailed climate data from its website and removed all references to climate change. In a nationally televised interview, Trump told the American people that the Obamacare repeal bill currently being pushed through Congress by Republicans would protect health insurance for people with pre-existing conditions. This was a lie. The bill would simply not have done that at all. Instead, it would have allowed insurance companies to charge astronomical premiums to sick people, effectively denying them coverage unless they were extraordinarily wealthy. The Agriculture Department canceled Obama administration standards for healthy school lunches. 1 out of 5 American children are currently obese. With current spending authorization set to expire in 5 days, congressional negotiators reached a bipartisan agreement on the federal budget that would fund the government for the next 5 months through the end of the fiscal year on September 30th. This was a win by congressional Democrats who successfully blocked Trump's border wall funding and prevented massive cuts to programs that help millions of Americans. The funding bill passed the House and the Senate in the next week with overwhelming bipartisan support, but a closer look at the votes shows that virtually every Democrat voted to keep the government open, while almost half of Republican House members and a third of Republican senators voted to follow Trump's command that they shut it down.